Ricin, anthrax, sarin gas, Ebola, VX gas, Chimera viruses. Some enemies are invisible. But the CBRN threat unit is Rainbow's shield against those enemies that can kill you with a single drop of blood.
Nanobots online.
Big Brother are coming in for Overwatch.
Or one wrong breath.
Military life calls people in different ways. Some answer the call because they want to save lives. Some answer because they love the thrill of combat and risk. Some answer the call because they ran out of options and wasted their lives and now need something to pull them out of it. There are many reasons one might become a soldier, but for one operator, he fights so he can find redemption. He is a king of beasts, but he is also a lost soul. He is a lion, and this is his story. Olivier Flement was born in Toulouse to a very conservative and traditional values Catholic family. His parents and older sister Sophie were not only religious but also were in the business of medicine. They were successful, well off, and all around inoffensive. Olivier hated it. He revolted against their success and their faith, renouncing both. While he was a smart and gifted boy, he was very arrogant. He went out drinking often, partying with friends and strangers. His parents and sister were simply at a loss about him, and that was the best part. For him, it wasn't the frivolous lifestyle that appealed to him, but the rebellion itself, the defiance of expectations, and the satisfaction of knowing he was breaking against the norm. However, reality caught up with Olivier when his girlfriend Claire revealed she was pregnant with his child. At a mere 18 years old, Olivier was unwilling to take responsibility. He tried to convince Claire to abort the baby, which she refused adamantly. When his parents found out about the pregnancy and that he wasn't willing to own up to his behavior, that was the final straw for them, and they kicked him out of the house. Olivier fell into depression and became addicted to alcohol and drugs. Eventually, he overdosed and found himself in the hospital. This was the wake-up call that he needed. Realizing that he was on the verge of homelessness and recognizing just how screwed up his life was, Olivier joined the French army, hoping he could finally pull his life back together. Olivier took to military life quickly. It was hard, but he benefited from it. As he was paid, he could send checks to Claire to support her and his newborn son. Claire herself was grateful for the money, but had no desire to see Olivier. But Olivier was determined to turn over his old habits and make himself into someone better. His hard work and aptitude was well suited for the CBRN, the Chemical, Biological, Radiological, Nuclear Threat Unit. Though it was harder work and more advanced than anything he'd ever done, Olivier took to it and found that the strict discipline suited him. He was recruited into the 2nd Dragoon Regiment and was considered a second-level in-combat rescuer. His best skill was in environmental monitoring and reconnaissance to support the CBRN reaction force. While with them, the unit Catholic chaplain Bertrand became close with him and tried to reopen his heart to God. He also got in touch with Claire and helped convince her that Olivier was remorseful. A reunion was arranged. But the reunion was difficult for him. He not only met his son, Alexis, but he also learned that Claire was going to be married to another man, and Alexis was calling this new man Daddy. The realization of his past sins and selfishness crushed him, as he realized that not only had he tried to force the woman he loved to do something out of personal inconvenience, but he also had thrown away a family out of selfishness and personal avarice. This realization sent him into a deep depression, which almost hurt his place in the CBRN. Chaplain Bertrand helped Olivier through the crisis and, thanks to his counsel and support, he returned to the church and accepted Christ as his savior. Olivier realized his skills could be better used in other fields and began researching into bacteriology and virology and how to combat diseases and plagues. This eventually led to him resigning from the army and joining the Groupe d'Intervention de la Grande Mère Nationale, or GIGN, specifically with the Operational Support Force. He now operates as the unit's biohazard expert and specializes in using his aerial drones to maintain, hold, and quarantine areas of infection and outbreak. He became devoted to his job and duty, no matter his personal hurt. Perhaps a negative to his rehabilitation is that he grew somewhat numb to his own civilian instincts, as he no longer trusts his personal feelings, only his duty. However, his determination was not to be underestimated. During a job in the Sudan, where a yellow fever outbreak was impacting the populace, a large mob of angry civilians were approaching a quarantine zone. Without a megaphone or amplification device, he used his loud voice alone to scare the mob into backing off, earning him the nickname Lion for his roar. However, as said before, some of his decisions came off as unfeeling. It's not that he feels nothing, it's that he doesn't trust his partiality and his feelings. In 2015, when he was leading the 2nd Dragoons to Nigeria to support a medical team helping to combat an Ebola outbreak, there was a tragic accident that led to a breach in safety. Lion had to make swift and calculated decisions to save lives, and some of those required sacrifices. The details are redacted and undisclosed, but what is known is that Gustav Doc Khatib has held resentment for Lion ever since the event, blaming him for the deaths of several medical staff, including a friend of Doc's. In response, Lion simply said, quote, "People died, and I hope I can find forgiveness for it. But what I did to save even more lives. I'd do it again, because that's doing my job." Doc still holds some contempt for Lion to this day. However, this event shouldn't reflect on Lion's strength of character or on his ability to remain focused on his tasks and duties even in stressful situations. It was this very ability to remain poised in the face of difficulty that earned the respect and attention of Lyra Finka Melinkova, who recommended Lion as a candidate for Rainbow. In 2018, Lion was recruited as a CBRN specialist alongside Finka. While in their company, he worked alongside Twitch to develop a new aerial drone that was capable of uncovering the source of a toxic component that was threatening the Sussex. He's been an outstanding asset to Siege, and the discipline he's gained from working alongside such commendable operators has also helped him in his personal life to a degree. Lion has managed to stay in his son's life, though the relationship is awkward. His son isn't quite sure how to consider Lion his father, and Lion doesn't know what it means to be a dad in the way he should be. Despite this, he learns and does his best, attempting to mend this bridge among others. He made contact with his parents and sister, and they welcomed him home like the prodigal son, thrilled to see he'd learned the error of his ways and had turned his life around. His profession of faith was a large help in that regard, and though they have misgivings about his decision to be a soldier, they can't deny the benefit the experience has had on him. And they are happy that he's no longer the hopeless rebel that they knew. During the event of the Rainbow Division, in which Nighthaven cut ties with Rainbow and several members of Rainbow defected, Lion learned that Finka had decided to leave for Nighthaven herself. When asking if he'd come with her, she argued that Nighthaven had the technology and cutting-edge resources to strengthen the CBRN and to make a larger difference for the world. But Lion didn't like it. Though he agreed with her that Rainbow wasn't perfect and that Nighthaven did have deep pockets, he sensed a personal motivation in Finka's decision, and his loyalty was to his duty and to his team. He declined the offer and elected to stay with Rainbow. He currently serves in Wolfguard Squad under the command of Doc, who, while not fond of Lion, was satisfied with his sense of loyalty. During his time in Wolfguard, he was teamed together with Montaigne and new recruit Sens to better learn to coordinate with them. He'd worked with Montaigne for some time, and the two were on good terms. Lion had private misgivings about Sens being a proclaimed non-binary, which stemmed from his faith, which he voiced privately only to Harry and Chaplain Bertrand, but as he always did, he put his duty before his personal feelings and learned to work alongside them. The three were deployed in Operation Vector Glare in order to extract an architect being held hostage by local militia, as the architect apparently had information on Nighthaven's involvement in the assassination of Masayuki Hayata. He performed admirably, as always, and even earned Doc's acknowledgement. But despite all of his successes and his personal dedication to rules and regulation, which he believes better stabilizes his personality and actions, that old boyish arrogance still bleeds through at times. Doc believes he lacks empathy, while Lion argues Doc's empathy is a liability. Both often go to Twitch to settle their disagreements, and this puts her on the spot quite often, making her very uncomfortable. But Doc isn't the only one who Lion irritates. During a training exercise, Lion made a remark that infuriated Thatcher to the point that he punched Lion in the mouth. This almost brought a straight-up brawl between the GIGN and the SAS operatives. But in spite of it all, Lion is a dependable operator. All operators bear some type of scar, but what defines a good soldier, and perhaps a good person, is how they choose to deal with those scars and move forward. Most choose to forget and pretend the scars aren't there. And this isn't always a healthy outlook, as it doesn't allow one to heal properly or learn from those scars. Some hold these scars too close to their chest, letting them fester and grow ever more infected, hurting who they are and everyone around them. This is also a bad decision, as it sends one into depression and isolationist victimhood. Lion has not forgotten his sins or his scars, but he also doesn't let them hold him back. Rather, he is remolding himself. The good man he is now, who cares for his son, adheres to his faith, and holds himself to his own high standards, was always there from the beginning. He just had to learn to find it in himself and nurture that man into being. Scars hurt, and they can be humiliating too, but they also can help teach us lessons. And Lion knows this more than anyone. Now, in terms of gadgets, of course every operator has to have one. Lion's gadget is the EE-1D unmanned aerial drone that hovers above the map. Lion, 3 times per round, can activate this drone to scan the map for enemy personnel for 2 seconds. The drone will give a 1.5 second warning to all operators on attacking and defending sides before activating. Once it does, the operators on the defending team will be scanned. If the defending operator makes any movement during the duration of the scan, their aura will be revealed to the entire attacking team for the rest of the scanning period.
Let's find those sheep.
Talon shield on the ground.
The only way to avoid being scanned is to stand still. While the scan is active, defending operators can shoot, raise barricades, plant gadgets or devices, and throw items without being caught. But any movement beyond squatting or going prone will be indicated. This ability is great for providing information to the attacking team and also for locking down enemy movement. The drone has a 15-second cooldown period between usage. It can be countered by mute jammers if a defender is within range of a mute jammer. The drone will not scan them. But other than that, Lion's drone is very, very good at hunting down the enemy. In terms of his loadout, Lion has 3 optional primary weapons and 3 optional secondary weapons. His first, the V308 assault rifle, is my personal favorite weapon of Lion's. It's highly versatile with a 50 magazine capacity, which is the highest of any assault rifle in the game, but still boasts a good reload speed despite its larger magazine size. It has a decent damage of 44 damage per shot, which means it can down most operators in 3 shots at least. However, it does have a lower rate of fire than any other assault rifle, and has an early damage drop-off, which means the further a target gets, the less damage per shot. That aside, for an all-around substantial rifle, you can't do much better than this Widowmaker.
Reminder to spend at least 30 minutes in the shooting range during your...
I found a reference.
Next, he has the 417 Marksman Rifle. It is a highly capable rifle. It combines excellent damage with great controllability and with decent damage drop-off, which you'd expect from a marksman rifle, I guess. More than this, it has a tight hip-fire capacity, making it easy to fire off rounds and earn a kill without ADS time, which can be a saving grace given its lack of an angle grip attachment. Its only real downside is its limited close-range capabilities, which can become a problem for Lion when entering the objective zone.
Enemy tag.
Cluster charge deployed.
Four last operator standing.
And then, of course, the SG-CQB shotgun, a devastating pump-action shotgun that deals high damage per pellet. Despite being a shotgun, it has mild drop-off, which means it has a hitting power even at medium range. Though it does have a vertical grip to help with recoil, it's almost unnecessary due to the slow rate of fire. Compared to the two rifles available to Lion, this shotgun is useful when entering the objective, but is overshadowed by the more versatile weapons like the V308.
That's a lot of shells.
Me personally, I favor the V308. You just can't go wrong, not only with that excellent reloading speed, but also with that magazine size. Because who needs accuracy when you can unload a drum mag? Now, in terms of secondary weapons, he carries the P9 handgun, a versatile handgun with decent damage, low recoil, and overall adequate ammo capacity. Its iron sights are actually pretty good, making it easy to manage and use without the need of attachments.
The longer you train, the sharper you get.
He also has the LFP-586 handgun. In terms of damage, it's one of the best handguns in the game with 78 damage per shot. However, it does have severe limitations. It carries a strong recoil kick, small ammo capacity, and a slower than average reload time. For this reason, this revolver is satisfying to use, but demands skill. Only those who feel comfortable with their aim and consistency should risk using it, and I simply don't.
Priority phone call for Ash on secure line 3.
His third secondary is the GONNE-6 hand cannon, which I talked about with Dokkaebi. I talked about it earlier, and I called it ultimately useless for its one-shot only magazine with no reload, its pitiful breaching capability, and being of low damage to operators. However, upon further investigation and encouragement from fans, I've come to learn this hand cannon's stronger use is in disabling gadgets and deployable shields, which, granted, has its uses. But that said, I still wouldn't encourage its use. As said earlier, its single-fire capability is limiting, and in a tight situation when you drain the magazine in your primary weapon, having the GONNE equipped means you likely won't have a secondary to fall back on last minute. As Modern Warfare 2 taught me, switching to your sidearm is faster than reloading. I've held that lesson sacred, and that's why, even though I won't say it's useless, I'd say that this weapon is inadvisable. In terms of how to use Lion effectively, one of the things to remember about playing Lion is that his scanner shouldn't be used too early in the match. It's better to use it when you can use it to pressure the enemy or hold them in place. For that reason, I don't use a scanner until me or my team are getting close to the objective. This will hold back the enemy team so we can get in position. It's also good to partner Lion with folks like Thatcher, Fuse, Thermite, Hibana, or Jackal. Jackal can help hold roamers off your back, forcing them to flee from while you deploy your scan. Thermite and Hibana, as hard breachers, can work well too. Use your scan as they breach a wall, forcing defenders to make the choice between being discovered on the scan or potentially being exposed to the attacker's line of sight. Thatcher can help destroy mute jammers so that the scan will work better, and Fuse, well, he's pretty self-explanatory. So in conclusion, what can be said about Lion? Well, his gadget is spectacular, and when he first released, he almost single-handedly changed the meta, so they had to nerf it. He has a versatile and useful assault rifle, a powerful gadget to prevent movement and lock down defenders, and a very high pick rate. He was the king of beasts, as it were, when he first released. But that's not what drew me to him. See, I love operators and characters at large who display redemptive qualities. People who made serious mistakes and errors in their past who have grown or learned from them. It's inspiring and frankly heartwarming. In many ways, Lion is like the prodigal son, a boy who lived life as he saw fit and willing to throw away all he had only to realize in the end what he was giving up. And though he can't undo the losses, he now knows how to move forward. Lion got his nickname because of a silly event on a mission, but I think his name goes deeper than that. You know, the first Disney movie I ever saw was The Lion King, the story of an arrogant and reckless lion cub destined for greatness who let that go to his head. And after losing everything he had, he needed to overcome his depression and self-imposed isolation to return and be the noble king he was always meant to be. Lion is very similar to me. Young and reckless, he threw away his life and potential for self-gain, imposed isolation and pain onto himself, and only through learning responsibility and discipline could he return and reclaim his nobility and distinction. Russian Badger, who I bring up a lot in this series, joked about the connection between Lion and the Lion King. But I would say it was far more clear than even he expected. So yes, I highly recommend trying out Lion, if not because of his incredible gadget, incredible weapons, and incredible, just awesome versatility and use in the battlefield. Pick him because this guy deserves a second chance. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.
Some enemies are invisible. But the CBRN threat unit is Rainbow's shield against those enemies that can kill you with a single drop of blood.
Nanobots online.
Big Brother are coming in for Overwatch.
Or one wrong breath.